you're not the primary custodial parent, it's important to be consistent and to be frequent and to be steady in your child's life. All of us who grew up without our dads in the home grew up with a sense of there was something missing. No matter how great our moms were, there was something missing. I was not gonna let my son go through that because he didn't choose this.
Even though we worked it out on them coming, during the holidays when their school was out and all that other type of stuff, it's been great getting them during that time because you always miss your child,
80% of African American kids will spend some of their lifetime without their fathers, and only half of other ethnicities spend their lifetime without their fathers. And I'm thinking that's a huge number, so somebody has to do something about this.
Fathers are our first teachers and coaches. They're our mentors. They're our role models. They set an example of success and they push us to succeed. Encourage us when we're struggling. They love us even when we disappoint them, and they stand by us when nobody else will. And when fathers are absent, when they abandon their responsibilities to their children, we know the damage that does to our families.
My name is Daryl McMillan, and I'm a single father. I like to say that there are a lot of good single fathers out there. They're often overlooked because of the ones that don't take care of their responsibilities. But you should just, take the time to get to know them.
The U.S. Census did research, and they talked about how the numbers are so drastic. For every single dad, there's like 4,000 single moms. And for me, I think that, that's a little bit far-fetched because every guy is not a bad guy. He might not have his I's dotted and his T's crossed at that moment, but for the most part, I think every man wants to be a part of his child's life. It's noted that 80% of the time when a male goes to court to fight for custody, he loses.
There are organizations of men that feel they are massively discriminated against in the court system on custody. You hear a statistic of 80% of the time men lose, and I think that's just plain factually wrong. Men may not get all of the time they were asking for, and they may not get literally 50-50, but that I think the judges really want to try to do as much as they can what's right by the children, and that, as a general proposition, means as much time with dad and as much time with mom as really is feasible under the circumstances. So what was the deciding factor of, especially as to custody decisions?
Now, family doesn't mean just being a sperm donor, does it?
The touchstone of all of the child decisions is the best interest of the child, so that it's not a question of father's rights, it's not a question of mother's rights, it's not a question of unfairness to one parent or another. It's a question of what is the best interest of the child. Judges in California are trained to and want to involve both parents as much as possible. And of course, it's not true that every judge makes every decision correctly, and that there may be individual cases where there was a wrong call. Almost all the orders that come out of the courts today are where parents want to participate, are orders that they both participate. And if somebody really gets 0 or 10% in a situation that can't be explained, then that person definitely should go to the Court of Appeal, because that's the law of California is very clear that maximum feasible participation.
You know how the weddings go. It's the best thing since sliced bread, man. Oh man, this is, it's the happiest day, and then you get to that point where you're in court looking at each other. It's like War of the Roses.
My name is Wesley Millett. I held, at an early age, relatively speaking, some pretty high positions in the corporate world. In the beginning, the marriage was good. A lot of different life circumstances happened to us. We moved across the country a couple times, from Washington to Ohio, Ohio to LA, and LA to the Bay. Bought and sold a home, had a baby. Dealt with other financial pressures here and there, the stress of being a high-powered executive at a young age. And I think that they all took their toll. I think in retrospect, it's not about blame. There are definitely things that both of us could have done better. But I'm not gonna sit there and blame her, or I hope she doesn't blame me. At the end of the day, it didn't work out.
I was in a funk for a while. Got sick. I was in the hospital for like 3 days. It was a tough time. I didn't know how I was gonna make it through, or if the boys. So at one point, I didn't know if they were gonna end up being with me, or if the course was gonna, let them go with her, and that really would have made things, real bad. I wanted to just see them happy. There were some happy times. I was happy just having a family, being together. I was happy going out with the family. It turned quick. It turned bad quick.
Hi, I'm Dr. Kenneth Polite, the pastor of counseling and congregational life at Faithful Central Bible Church here in Los Angeles, California. First thing is to love your kid. It's really important to love your kid and to kind of own that, to recognize that it's appropriate, that your child needs it. And if you recognize that you love your kid, then you put your kid first.
No, never went to counseling.
Two things they don't teach you in school: how to be married and how to raise children.
If we want our children to succeed in life, we need fathers to step up. We need fathers to understand that their work doesn't end with conception. What truly makes a man a father is the ability to raise a child and invest in that child. We need fathers to be involved in their kids' lives, not just when it's easy, not just during the afternoons in the park or at the zoo when it's all fun and games, but when it's hard, when young people are struggling and there aren't any quick fixes or easy answers. And that's when young people need compassion and patience, as well as a little bit of tough love.
Yeah, but once everything fell on me, it's like, okay, the pressure is on you now. There's nobody else to lean on. You can't lean on nobody else. You gotta step up now, and that's just maturity. You just either fight or flight. Fight or flight. Which one? What you gonna do? So I chose to stand up and fight.
There is no quitting. It is not an option. He's counting on you. You gotta make it happen for him, and you gotta find a way. The notion of the broken home is real. But I also think that sometimes we put too much on it. And I think it really comes down to what's the definition of a broken home? A broken home, to me, it's a term that's slapped on things too easily. I grew up in a home where my mother raised us. The home wasn't broken. The home was a home where my parents were divorced. My father wasn't there. He left.
My father, he's old school. He don't do a lot of talking. He didn't give no advice at all. None. Not a little bit.
Some of you know the statistics. Children who grow up without fathers are more likely to drop out of school and wind up in prison. They're more likely to have substance abuse problems, run away from home, and become teenage parents themselves.
I needed to talk to you. Alone.
The fuck you need to talk to me about?
Watch your mouth, son.
Son? Did you just really go there?
Just sit down for a minute. Let me just talk to you. I got some stuff on my chest I would like to get off. Listening. There's so much that I want to say to you, to explain to you. I just want to start off by saying I'm sorry. I know I haven't been a perfect father, if one at all to you. I just want you to know that I do love you. And you've never been far from my thoughts.
Thoughts? Your thoughts didn't put no food on this table or pay any fucking bill in this house. Your thoughts didn't come to any of my games and your thoughts wasn't there when I needed advice. So as far as I'm concerned, fuck your thoughts, Dad.
Now, what a deadbeat dad is to me would be that guy who participated in birthing a child and then leaves. So whereas the kid doesn't ever hear from their father, doesn't know where he is, almost doesn't know if he's living, the mother can't contact him because she doesn't have a phone number on him. He's not contributing financially. That's a deadbeat dad.
You have every opportunity in the world to restart your career. You have the opportunity to make more money again. You have the opportunity to do this, to do that. You got one shot to raise your kids. One. And you got one shot to get it right. Most important thing is whether you fight or whether you don't, whatever your reasons are or what they are not, the most important thing is, regardless of that, is to be consistent, to be a constant factor and a productive force in your child's rearing.
Because I'm not gonna point the finger and go, well, if dads don't reach out to their child, it's their fault. Because if we just point finger at people, at fathers, society, the fathers become defensive and go, well, I'm doing the best I can. No, I understand you're doing the best you can. There's no fault in this, but it needs to get better.
Kids are having babies now. So much information out there, so many different organizations. Why do we as men not take advantage of the information that's out there?
African American men are the hardest group to get into therapy. They're the hardest group to get anything. The hardest group to get into the doctor for prostate cancer. I mean, they're the hardest group to get screened for anything. And so, if you're dealing with a group that is taught to be tough and strong and not ask for help, I can do this on my own. Who do you run to when you have a problem? Your boys. And if your boys can't handle it.
The type of men they become is largely due to the examples that they've seen, not just from their fathers, but the men that are in their lives as a young boy and what the type of men they grow into. I have a good support system around me, friends, family, those close to me, etc., etc. And all that said, without that support system and without those people around, you can easily find yourself in a situation, because it becomes overwhelming. But I'm willing to take on that responsibility because I know at the end of the day, children are the biggest gift that God can give you in terms of raising them. And if you're not in a position to raise them the way they need to be raised, and you're not in a position to raise them right, you don't need to take on that responsibility at all. It takes two people. It takes more than that. But both parents have a responsibility for making that environment for the child, as from a co-parenting perspective, the best possible environment so that child can have the best fighting chance at being a productive citizen in this world and living a good and happy life and replicating that model. I'm not buying into the fact that all of us, are abandoning our kids. We're not. I'm not doing it. I know you're not doing it. Other people aren't doing it. We're not abandoning our kids. We're not all shirking the responsibility. The problem is there's not enough attention paid to those of us who are raising our kids from a split household standpoint and doing the things that need to be done to make sure that our little boys and our little girls are put on the right track from jump.